the Nord Modular. For a certain period of time, this was a lot of people's introduction to modular synthesis. There was a lively community around it, including such people as the legendary Rob Horjic. No idea how to pronounce that. It sounded amazing at the time, given the computing power available. It was mind blowing. Unfortunately, I killed mine by connecting a dodgy power supply to it and blowing out the audio units, which I don't know whether they can be repaired or not. But frankly, even before that, it's not been supported by Nord for a long time. They've gone in a different direction, it was a case of running virtual machines to run the editor on. And there are some open source projects, but the beauty of the platform was how accessible and easy it was. It was very easy just to connect to it, chuck a bunch of modules together, wire them up, and off you go. And really, I've been, and I think like a lot of people, I get the impression, looking for a replacement ever since. Obviously, the actual Euro rack is modular. I mean, that's what you want. But it's hard work. If I want another LFO, I need to spend money. And given my case is full and I need another case, that's quite a lot of money suddenly, and it is sometimes quite nice just to follow your nose and add modules as and when you need them and explore ideas. I was thinking about this morning. I find modular much easier in some ways for synthesis than I do traditional architecture synth. Not because I can't translate my ideas to the traditional architecture synth, but when you use a synth with a fixed architecture, you're always kind of thinking, well, how do I do that thing? I want an LFO on this. Now, sometimes that's easy, sometimes it's not. And that's one reason I really like the Zebra from Yuhi, because that lets me have that workflow. But ultimately, I've kind of not found anything that quite hits the spot the same way the Nord Modular did. And there have been a number of attempts over the years. Generator and then reactor sort of was, but it's too low level. It's more a toolkit for building synths, and I have got some amazing synths in reactor, but quite honestly, I don't build much in reactor. Pure Data, Max MSP. Max MSP is the commercial version. Pure Data is an open source version. They're both kind of originated by Miller Paquette. Max MSP has gone one kind of route. I use both of those quite a lot, and I like them, but they're not the same thing. They're still the wrong level. There's Beep inside, or Beap, or whatever it's called, inside Max MSP, but it's not right. Actually, and then there's one hardware solution. This is the Axoloti. This is intended to be a Nord Modular replacement. It was clearly, the designer clearly was inspired by, I'll get that in focus. This was designed to be a Nord Modular replacement. I think it goes to show the influence the Nord Modular platform had. It's close. My biggest issue with it is the one you're looking at. It's a raw circuit board. It's got amazing connectivity. Check out all of these connectors, all this connectivity on the back. There's just so much expansion possibilities. In a box with some knobs, like the modular, that would be amazing. However, my DIY skills and my electronics and soldering skills are not sufficient currently to get that into the state I would like it in, and hence I have a raw circuit board kicking about. I probably should do more with it. It supports MPE. I'd kind of intended to kind of have it hooked directly to my C board and do something like that one day. So anyway, fast forward to 2018, many years after the modular, computing power is such that we have at any one time, I've got at least two computers far more powerful than anything back then, just on my person, my phone and my watch, both of which are dedicated to specific functions, but have far more computing power. And then if you include all of the chips in hardware and boxes and gadgets, I'm surrounded by computing. So why haven't we got anything like the Nord Modular? Well, I think the key thing is the interface and the level and the usability and the workflow and the user experience. And that's the thing that's not being got right until now. So Audulus on the iPad. When it first came out, I was interested in it, but it wasn't. But I've got to say, with this latest version, it's absolutely hit that same spot. The module library is the similar level to on the modular. It's very powerful. In fact, it's more powerful because you can pretty much modulate anything. If it's got a knob, you can just modulate it. You can dive right down into the nuts and bolts, which you couldn't on the modular. So you can actually build your own modules. And you know, you've got access to the expression module and just raw stuff. So very powerful. So I just wanted to and it's turned from being, oh, that's quite nice, to a go-to tool, and I've used it on several tracks recently. If you listen on my SoundCloud, may not be able to work out what's the Audulus, but it's there and being used all the time now. So I just wanted to have a quick look at it on the iPad. We'll just dive onto the screen and have a look. But this really is a game changer. And what's more exciting is there's a really lively community around it. I've seen people picking up Rob Horjick's ideas and building things. There's a project to emulate Eurorack stuff. There's an emulation of the O-Coast from Make Noise, which is I lost a few hours to one evening. It's lovely and does very much all of that lovely Make Noise stuff. It's exactly the same, but I think. You know, these emulations, sometimes they miss the point, you know, sounding the precise, sometimes the precise same waveform is what you're looking for. I get that. But sometimes the thing that was good about a synth is the workflow, whether it was quirky or not. Sometimes, you know, there's a beautiful workflow and I just translate my ideas straight into music. Sometimes it's like an awkward workflow with quirks, but those quirks provide a musicality and an interest that's there. One reason I like the Digitone over the DX7 is it's kind of limited. You see, I won't buy it because it hasn't got 6 or 8 operators and it's this, that and the other. It's got a bunch of limitations, but what they've done is made FM really accessible. I can dial in sounds really fast. I've got, instead of a menu system with page after page after page. If you look at DexEd, which is kind of the DX7 emulation, but unfolded into a single screen control, it's got so many controls on it. Whereas, you know, my Digitone's got a handful of screens and I can just whip through them really fast and get sounds. Can I get the extreme range of sounds I could from a DX7? Probably not, but then I've got DexEd. Can I get loads of lovely FM goodness with my Digitone? Yes, I bloody well can. And I think that is missed. The user experience is just as important as the sound sometimes. And Odulus is just bang on the spot. So, and I'm really looking forward, new developments. There's a few quirks, like MIDI sync is just a total pain. They're going to be working on that. It's going to be an AE3. That's quite exciting. Do I run out of DSP cartridge on my iPad? Yes. So, but you know, there's a new iPad coming out this year. And maybe we'll have to have a think about an upgrade. Okay, so here we go. An empty patch. Now, Audulus is a software modular. There's lots of software modulars. We've seen a whole huge variety. Reactor has been kicking around for years, and I've been a Reactor user on and off, like some Max MSP, Pure Data. There are a number for the iPad. So what's Audulus got right that I feel makes it a kind of extraordinary step forwards, really. So let's add an output unit. Let's have it turned up because that always gets me. So navigation, we've got effectively an infinite space. I can slide all around. I can zoom in and out. I don't know why I can't zoom in further. I normally can, but as I add things, we'll be able to. And let's do the obvious. So why do I think it makes such a big difference? I think because they've got the level of the modules right. So let's just turn this down again. There we go. Classic first modular patch. Sine wave generator, output, turns on off. And I think this is the reason we're seeing a nice level of module. This is the same as a hardware module. You can very easily dive in at kind of quite an intuitive level. So that's a bit boring. Let's make it more interesting. Let us add a VCA in there. Let's add a JFET VCA. That should be able to give us a nice bit of distortion. Now, obviously, we need to open our VCA. Let's do something a tiny bit interesting. So this is I'm not quite sure what this is. This looks like it's a bit of a shift dredgery thing to me. There we go. So now what have we got here? We've got the sine wave coming through this shift registry thing, or chaosy thing. I literally just grabbed this unit. I don't know what it's doing, but we can see here that it's opening our VCA and making this noise. The VCA's got the JFET means we've got a bit of distortion going on there, which is quite nice. So, and this isn't, I could have built a very boring, typical synthesizer. I thought we'd do something a little bit different now. Okay, so that's fine. Let's add a filter in there because, so low pass filter, this is a Moog model by the sounds of it, and I presume that's what the MG stands for. So put that in. That's nice. So we've got all the usual stuff. Nice filter. Now let's add some modulation to this. So modulation, and I'm just going with some of the basics now. That you can see there's all sorts of interesting stuff, FM, wave shape, but we'll just go with the basics for today. And you see how easy it is. So here we go. Up until now, we've just got a nice signal chain. Modulation is dead easy. You can modulate anything. So here's my little sine LFO. Here's my signal. Let's start off by modulating the frequency. Now, here's the frequency of my LFO. Now, this is really nice. You've got two little offsets. You've got the tenuverter and you've got an offset. So I can get that modulating exactly what I want. One of the things that's really interesting about the different modules, so this is a level that's nice. Reactor tends to have been lower level or kind of high level, and then they've introduced blocks, and blocks is nice, but it is just not as easy to patch as this. This is so nice to patch. One of the cool things is you can dive right in. So if I want, raw components, I can just add raw components. See how nice it is with the pencil. Basic oscillator, raw as it gets, hertz, frequency, amplitude, sync, all dead simple. My pencil needs charging, so let us just add a few little bits and pieces. I was just going to add a really nice little sample and hold modulation. This is something I've been doing a little bit since I learned it. This is a sound that I just quite like. So modulation, we'll have a sample and hold. We'll just go with the basic sample and hold. I'm going to want a clock to drive that. So utilities, a ton of clocks. Let's also just put in a basic little sequencer here. So, and actually, let's just have them going slightly different clocks. So, clock divider, nice and easy. So, clock divider driving my little sequencer. So we need some noise. So there's a bit of noise. That's the wrong one. I want the clock going in there. So, and then hold this on here. Here we go. It's a bit repetitive, but there you go. That's kind of just illustrating how fast it is to work in it. You can do nice things like, for example, we want to group. There you go. We group with two control inputs and output. You can label this if I put text here. There we go. We go back out. There we go, and I can edit that UI. We can also do. Hold on, making a mess now, which is normal. Let's add a knob, and let's have that knob be set our and there we go. And we can edit that, lock the UI, and now we've got. So we make our own modules. So it's very powerful. You've got all of these, this superb module library that all sorts of things, basic building blocks, even some pre-built stuff, some pre-built drums. We've got effects. Let's just whop a spot of reverb in there. That's why not, eh? And of course we can modulate that too. And again, we're just doing, basically over. I presume dwell is. All sorts of things, and you see how easy it is to, we've very simply built, and can't remember what I said, don't need it. We've built a very simple little patch there. Admittedly, it's not massively easy, but it's got a rhythm. It's kind of interesting. we go. So, not very musical, but you can see how simple it is to build stuff up. And this, I think, is fundamentally the deal. It is really quick to work, just as fast as it is with the Euro rack. You've got this incredible collection of stuff built for you, modules. You have an infinite plane to work on. If we look, this is just using 18% CPU, so we can add quite a lot in. It's not, you can soon start loading it up, but it's brilliant.